All right, good morning, everyone. We're just going to wait a minute or so for people to hop on. It's right at 10 o'clock, so we'll get started shortly. So come on in, everyone. Okay. All right, people are starting to trickle in, so I'll at least get the part started where we can introduce ourselves and get the topic rolling. My name is Savannah Lawrence, and I'm the Administrative Director here at Yosemite Sierra Summer Camp.
And I'm Sara, Kuljis, Executive Director of Yosemite Sierra Summer Camp. In the summer, campers know us as Salsa and popcorn.
Yes.
Because we always go with the fun names.
Yes. And for some of you who have already been a part of our mornings on the porch, I'm usually on the other screen. So this time it's fun and also a little awkward for us to be next to each other, but it's so exciting for our topic that we're going to discuss today. But I do want to just talk about some housekeeping rules so we can answer your questions and get through some really great content today. So you will see that this is a recorded webinar, so you will have access to this recording to refer back to week before your camper is ready to come to camp. And we also have a Q&A portion, so you can drop any Q&A down in the bottom and we'll answer them at the end of our discussion today. So it's recorded. You can look at this later and feel free to ask any questions. So without further ado, let's get started talking about all the fun ways to prep for camp.
All right. Well, first of all, we do want to welcome you to Mornings on the Porch. If this is your first morning on the porch, we hope you have your cup of coffee with you. We call these monthly parent Zooms Mornings on the Porch because at camp, nearly every day of the summer, we meet on the porch early in the morning with our staff. To talk about the day, to plan for what our campers need most, to make sure we're all on the same page. And it's really our time to partner well. And so we invite parents to join us once a month for a Zoom to partner well. We're glad you're here. Today's topic is fun with forms. Woo! Another favorite fine points. When your child heads up to Bass Lake for 2 weeks at Yosemite Sierra Summer Camp, there is a lot of prep to be done, and we do invite families to fill out many forms so that we have the information we need to be most prepared for your camper. Some of these forms are required by the state. Some of them meet the standards of our accreditation. We're one of the 20% of camps across the United States that's accredited by the American Camp Association. And a few of those forms are just for us. So we and your child's counselor can get to know them very, very well, even before they arrive at camp. So, so thank you in advance for taking the good time to fill those out and get those in on time for us.
Well, great. Well, I'd love to kind of give an overview of what that even looks like. For some of our returning families, this seems pretty routine-like for those summers that you keep coming. And for our new families, I just love to just guide you to make this process way more seamless. And before you know it, 20 minutes in, you're done. It's awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so I can give you guys a great visual. So hang tight. Here we go. Okay. All right, it is connecting. All right, so I am on our beautiful homepage on YSSC.com, and here you will click Parent Sign In. Simple as that. So you head over to YSSC.com and click Parent Sign In. From here, you will add in your credentials. Obviously, it's auto-populating mine, but yours will auto-populate, or you can set it up to where it auto-populates. Very helpful. Once you're logged in, you will head over to this homepage. So it automatically pops up. And what's so helpful about this homepage is that you actually get to utilize this in way more ways than just utilizing forms and documents. So brief overview, you see camper application, refer a friend form, financial management. Maybe you got to switch a credit card and you could do that yourself without calling the office. You also have access to photos throughout camp. You also have camp stamps, which are digital one-way letters to your child during their session. But of course, we will cover all of that as we get closer. But please get familiar with your homepage. It's super helpful. Well, from there, you're going to head right to the top, forms and documents. And here you will see, oh, hold on. How did I get booted out? Hang tight 1 second. Technical difficulty. I assumed this was going to happen at some point.
We can't quite pull off a session without at least a little hiccup.
That's
Keeps us
so
humble.
funny. Yeah, it does keep us humble. I'm so surprised that it got me booted off. And you know what? And sometimes you may have a technical difficulty on your end too. So if that happens, please call us and I'd love to walk you through the next steps because I love to problem solve and I'd love to do that with you. Okay, so back to our forms and documents list. There we go. Okay, we made it through. So you went to YSSC.com, you signed in, and now you clicked forms and documents at the top of your homepage. Now, in this case, there's only one child coming to camp, but say you have multiple, you'll have this same list duplicated with the name of each camper. So say you have 3 kids, each child will have their name listed underneath these forms. Now, what's super helpful is there's 2 icons for these forms. There's a little laptop icon, which you see up here. It's an online form. And then there's an arrow to download and an arrow to upload. So we have done some revisions and made it even more accessible and speedy and quick, which is so helpful for you parents. But majority of our forms are online. And the only one that needs to be downloaded and printed off is your physician's exam form. So you just download it here, go ahead and click it. And then when you're ready to send it, you can upload it here, or you can always email it to me at info@yssc.com. But this is the general overview, and you just click through each form and you complete with either a digital signature, you fill in different fields, whether there's questions about your camper or questions about their health on the health history, but pretty self-explanatory. But if you have questions at any time, please give us a call.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Of course.
You make that look very easy.
Yes, I've been doing it for a while, but yes, and I will help make it easier. So if you call, I'll help you.
That's awesome. Well, we are going to talk through a few of those forms now, a little more specifically, just to help all of us understand better their importance and when and why we need them. And to help with that, we have invited a special guest. Now, at our health center at Yosemite Sierra Summer Camp, which we fondly call Club Med, we have a team of healthcare providers for our campers all summer long. We have a Club Med manager, a Club Med assistant, and then every session we have a seasoned guest nurse practitioner, or doctor who joins us for those specific 2 weeks. And they bring kind of that experience and wisdom. They know us well. They return year after year and are such important partners to us. So we have invited Nurse Bandana to join us this morning to talk through some of the medical forms that will be needed. So I'm pleased to introduce Nurse Bandana.
Woohoo! All right. You're live, Nurse Bandana.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, so my name is Heather. My camp name is Bandana. Just a preface before I start talking, you are going to hear my toddler. She is right next to me. And so she might even pop in, but just she's playing next to me. So that is the background noise. So hopefully it won't cause too much distraction as toddlers do. So yeah, I actually, my history with camp is, I actually was a camper, when I was, I believe, in late elementary school, early middle school. And I loved YSSC. And then I came back as a counselor when I was in college, I believe in 2013 and 2014. And then last year, my husband and I and our daughter served as the camp nurse for session 4. My husband's also a nurse, and I have a history of ER nursing, so emergency department nursing, as well as pediatric triage nursing. And I actually just finished my doctorate in nursing practice. So I am a nurse practitioner as well. I'll be licensed in April. I'm getting ready to sit for my certification exam, so that's exciting. So that's my history a little bit. So I just kind of want to talk through the camper health history form, just stress some importance of it. I think Popcorn already said, but you need to print that one form out and you need to have your physician go over it and sign it for you. That's very important. We can't treat or care for your child without that signature. And then these forms are really for us to help best support your camper, not only with their health, but also with allergies or behavioral stuff. And so I think it's really important to not only list like medications or conditions they have, but also things like anxiety support, OCD support. We're seeing a lot more of that now, unfortunately, but it's really important that that's part of your camper's health history. And so maybe you don't consider it as part of something to consider on a health form, but I do. And so I want to know that behavior stuff. And it's really going to help us care overall for your kid. So like bedwetting is super important. We want to be able to support your child through that in whatever you do at home so that it's, it's not embarrassing. We do it really thoughtfully and really in secret if that's something that's important to the camper. So please include kind of those nuanced details. My apologies. Please include those nuanced details for us. No information that you are like, oh, they don't need to know that. Just put it down. If we don't need to know it, we'll glance over it. Not a big deal. So please be detailed in those. And then dietary needs. We really want to stress dietary needs. If there's a diet they stick to, we do the best that we can to accommodate. If there's like little nuances in their diet or foods they have aversions to, or an EpiPen, anything from small to little, please include those. It's super important for us to support your child to have the best time at camp. And then just for some background about how meds and vitamins are given at camp, they're given at meals. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner if needed. And those will be on the health history form that you can complete, including the med and the time and the dose. It's really important that you send all those medications, vitamins, and supplements in the original packaging in a Ziploc bag with your child's name on it. Again, original packaging, even as needed medication. So if they take Dramamine or Benadryl, please package those in their original packaging in a Ziploc bag with their name on it. And then make sure the camper themselves knows where those medications are in their luggage. So again, make sure your camper knows where those medications are. She wants you to know that your camper needs to know where the medications are in the luggage. All right. And then the first day that they arrive at camp, we collect all of those and we go through those and they'll check all those in at Club Med. We talked about the physician's form. Again, super important that you get that signed. And that it confirms the camper's health history. And then just kind of some background, like if there's anything that your camper needs, if they get sick in the middle of the night, if they scrape themselves, if they're on a backpacking trip, we always have those camper forms with us. So if they are out and old enough to go on that backpacking trip, their guide and counselor have those forms in their backpacks. Hey, do you want to watch and listen? We're almost done. And so they're in their backpacks. So they go everywhere the camper goes. Yeah. So if they need a headache or if they have a headache or a stomach ache, we are able to take that on at camp. But if there's like an x-ray needed or something kind of more serious, we always include you as the family, including a temperature of above 100. Just 1 second. Or your baby. Thank you for being patient with me and my toddler. So if they have a temperature above 100, or if I or another camp nurse triage them and think that they need a higher level of care, we consult with our pediatrician And we are always in communication with you as the parent. So there's nothing that happens at camp that you as the parent are not going to know about. We don't keep anything secret from you. And this was not how I had planned going.
It's real life, don't you worry.
Real life. So bottom line is, you as the parent are not going to be kept in the dark. You might receive a phone call from me. And don't always assume that it's bad too, because sometimes we call just for clarification. So I think that's important to say too, is, you know, sometimes I call a parent, and last year I called a parent to let them know that their kid was doing really well, when they had noted on their camp form that they were really nervous about the kid arriving at camp. You want to get down? Oh, no. Okay. And then I think the other thing I just want to cover, and Salsa, correct me if I'm missing anything. Yeah. Do you want to listen to Mama? We're almost done. Okay, can you listen? Shh. Again, there's always an on-call pediatrician available for us to consult. It's never just the nurse at camp doing the consulting. And if they need to go off-site, there's always two staff members who go with them. We have a 3-body rule. If there's a camper, there's always 2 staff members. So again, physician's form, super important. You get that signed. No detail is too little, too small. Please include your meds in their original packaging with them as they come up to camp in Ziploc bags with their name on it. And make sure your camper knows exactly where that Ziploc bags are in their luggage so that they can check them in to us at Pullman. Salsa, did I miss anything?
I think you nailed it all, even with the chorus in the background.
Yeah,
thank you, June, for that. No, thank you so much, Bandana. It really is a partnership with parents, you know, during a session. And, you know, if it's a Band-Aid or a mosquito bite, we'll take care of that. And then, like Bandana said, if it's spending the night in Club Med for the night, or if there's that temperature of 100 or higher, or any, you know, an ongoing issue we're concerned about, or if we're just delighted that they have recovered from their fever, we're going to give you a call and keep you in the loop. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, can you say bye-bye?
Yeah. Bye, Jen.
See you. I love it.
That's so awesome.
Awesome.
Well, as we touched on some medical forms, there's 3 I would like to just point out real quickly for parents, if I may.
Can I add something, one little detail
Sure.
about the health history? So Bandana did a great job explaining the importance of why, of course, all the other forms, especially those medical forms, but you will notice that on the health history, especially the health history, you can update information.
Oh, yes.
So say your camper does take new medication leading up to camp, but you already submitted that form on that 1 month prior date. You just need to reach out to the office, because we want to make sure that we have the most up-to-date information given to our nursing staff. So just a little context, prior to a session, they go through every detail that you put down on health histories. And we just don't want them to go over details that are not, or obsolete, or they don't exist anymore, or there's new information. So say that you need to add a new medication or a new something, just call the office and I'll make sure that that updated form is given to our health staff.
Yeah. Thank you. That was important. I appreciate that. The next form I would like to touch on is called the personality profile. It's your opportunity to tell camp all about your delicious camper, what they're looking forward to, what your hopes for them are, who lives at home with them, what some of their favorite activities are, how they get along with peers, how when they need their behavior shaped at home, do you like to shape that behavior? Are they a picky eater? If they have had an opportunity to see a counselor or a therapist this year about a certain issue, or maybe coaching about ADHD, just what would be helpful for us to know about your camper as we build their cabin and as their counselor grows to be prepared for them. These things are private, just the counselor and executive staff take a look at that. And we read every single personality profile as we are building cabin groups. So share that with us, especially if it's something that might be new or just happening. I recall a time where we had a camper. He was about 10 or 11, and he had some homesickness, which usually abates in 2 days, a day or two. Almost always it hushes down. But his was continuing on for a few more days, and we were trying to come to the root of it and support him. So we call parents, which we do, and strategize with them how to help a camper tackle that. And we learned that while he was at camp, they were moving from the house. It's the only house he'd ever known. And he was grieving the loss of of his home and his bedroom in particular. And he was afraid that he wouldn't get to say goodbye to the house. So we worked out a plan. We let him know his parents were planning to pick him up from the bus, and the next day they were going to go over to the house and say goodbye. He just didn't know. And afterwards, parents were like, "Oh, we should have put that in the personality profile that we're moving, and that might bring up some anxiousness for him." So it worked out super well. But that might be an example of, is there anything else you want to add for us to know? Speaking of building cabins, one of the forms that you will have an opportunity to fill out, it's optional, is called the Cabin Mate Request Form. And we provide the opportunity for a camper to ask to be with up to 2 friends, relatives, same gender, same approximate age, to be in their cabin. We do our best to meet those needs, but we prioritize those requests when they are mutual. If I'm going to ask for popcorn to be in my cabin, because we're about the same age, she needs to also ask for me to be in her cabin, so we know that's mutual. Sometimes families will get really excited and list 8 names that they would like their camper to be with, and that is larger than our cabin size. And we also really want campers to meet new friends. So again, if you could please keep that to 1 or 2, that would be helpful for us, because we're just going to look at the first 2 on that list. Also, those of you whose child is coming not with a friend or a relative, that's awesome. About 25% of our campers come solo, and their friendship making opportunities are through the roof. And because we know that in advance, we will work hard to make sure they are not the only solo camper in their cabin. We'll work hard that there's at least one other kiddo who's coming on their own. And then we work really hard to build that cabin family, especially in those first 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So don't worry about that part. Finally, one last form I want to mention is called the Camper Code of Conduct. And this is a form that we ask you to read over, but with your camper, please. These are the behaviors that create a happy and wholesome and safe space for everybody at camp. It's how we speak to each other. It's how we dress. It's how we follow guidelines. And it covers the items that we don't bring to camp, like technology. We are a no-tech camp, just to remind you. That way we're all on the same page. If a camper missteps and maybe uses language that we don't use at camp, we're going to remind and coach and work with them. However, if it continues, we'll remind them that they have agreed to this behavior. And we may even need to call a parent and work together on a behavior contract to help that child succeed. Worst case scenario, or if that fit isn't ideal, sometimes, rarely, we need to invite a camper to go home. But all of that is spelled out on that Camper Code of Conduct. So even if it's late at night and you're in a hurry and you're trying to get that last form done and you just want to sign that camper's name on their behalf, I'd ask you to wait and make sure they review it with you so they know what they're stepping into, and also so they know that those around them will also be working to behave that kindly, that respectfully. That would be awesome. So.
Awesome. Great. Well, before we finish up, I do want to mention an important document. Will I say maybe the most coveted document, which is the packing list. So you guys will all receive access to this packing list by the end of the week. But I just did want to note a couple of things. So first and foremost, you are going to see that there are numbers for each item, how many shirts to bring, how many socks to bring, things like that. But we are asking families to pack for 2 weeks. And that is because our local vendor, unfortunately, did have to shut down their business. So our local laundry vendor, thank you, our local laundry vendor. So this is not uncommon. Many camps operate without a laundry vendor. And for us, we do have laundry on site in case there is an emergency where a child needs a clean pair of socks or something like that. So we do have that option, but follow the packing list and your camper will be well equipped. A couple things to also know about the packing list is to also not overpack. Sometimes thinking about 2 weeks or maybe like, are you sure I should bring this many shirts or these many shorts? Sometimes we can overpack and that can cause a duffel bag to be too heavy. Your kid might not be able to carry it. We aim for a child to be able to lift up their luggage. Of course, we have so many staff on opening day to help take it. Heck, they probably want to take it for them because they're so excited that campers are there. So just know that try not to overpack, really follow that checklist. Each camper does have a bunk drawer that is going underneath the bunks. So that's where they can unload their clothes, fold it, organize however they want it, however they want to. I know I had a specific method when I was a camper. So
Yes, she did.
Everyone has their own method, but they do have really accessible drawers to just grab everything. And of course, duffels and suitcases are then just moved over into the cabin. They don't leave the cabin, so they're stored in the cabin. So helpful when you're picking out which luggage piece. You want to make sure it could be foldable and collapsible so kids can have more room in their cabin to do fun stuff. And the last thing that you'll see as we are getting close to our theme launch, so stay tuned for that. But on the packing list, you will see options for bringing a fun costume item. This has no theme whatsoever. It's just fun. It's just, I love it. A little hat, but campers love bringing items from their home. We do ask to bring up to 1 to 2 things. One, because it's a special thing from home, but we also have an awesome costume closet where kids can just roam and create characters and different things, and use some of the items in the costume closet for decorating their cabin. I know I loved bringing party streamers from the Dollar Tree up to camp. I just thought that was so fun. And for our returning families, you know that kids love to compete in the cabin cleanup. So new families, you'll get an earful when you get home, but we give kids the opportunity to clean their cabin so pristine, clean before theme, and then they get to have the imagination to build a world in their cabin. So if you want to pack some items, go for it, but just know camp has plenty for you to have. So we're excited. Start imagining what your camper's going to bring.
Yes. And keep your eye out for the theme voting postcard. And Owen will send a digital announcement as well. So your camper will get to vote on their favorite choice of one of 3 fabulous themes that we will build our summer around.
So fun. Well, great. Well, I do think we have a few questions. This first one that we received is definitely the most common. It's about transportation. So if you were here when I was going through the forms list, one of them is a transportation form. You do have 3 modes of transportation to get to camp. One is driving yourself, which is always a great option to see camp, meet the counselor, get a lay of the land. Sometimes that's not an option. We also have a charter bus that starts in Irvine and will go all the way up and we'll make a stop at Pasadena and Valencia. So say you lived in Laverne like I did. I took that Pasadena stop and went up. So the question is, I'm not sure what my transportation plans are. When is like the last minute option? Oh, sorry. Yes, the last one was the airport. If you fly in, which plenty of campers fly in, you fly into Fresno International Airport and our lovely camp staff pick them up. So that's a good option too. Thank you for a reminder. But you want to let us know 1 month in advance. Obviously with flights, that can depend on which flight you're choosing. So that can feel flexible. Same with driving. But the charter bus, there are limited seats. So it is a first come, first serve. We want to make sure that you get your child a seat on that bus. And if you want to know more information about that, feel free to call. But all forms are due 1 month prior to the start of your camper session. That way we can make sure everything that you put down is good to go for them to come up to camp.
Yes, good, good.
Awesome.
Any more questions this morning?
Yeah, well, one popped in my head that I actually have gotten quite often, and it's around the physician's exam. So the question would be, hey, my child's 1 year is after the 1 month date. Can I,
When your wellness check.
appointment check is,
Yes.
it's one, it's not lining up with when it needs to be due. If that's the case, just give me a call. I'll make a note and I'll just make sure to reach out to you, 2 weeks after you said, or the day of. So as long as you're communicating with me, I'm able to help you out. So that 1 month mark though is really helpful for everyone involved, but sometimes it's just not the case. So just please let me know, especially about the physician's exam, and I'll make sure to call you up when it's time for you to turn it in. Now, let me see. I don't think we have any more other questions, but is there anything else you wanted to add? I feel like we covered a lot.
We did. No, I think that's all about forms and fine details, fun forms, and you know what I mean. All the fun.
Yeah.
Popcorn said it several times this morning, but just call us if you have questions. We love getting to know you in advance of summer or reconnecting with those of you whose kids have come before. So it's a camp family and we want to keep that going. I would like to say that next month's Morning on the Porch will be the 29th. Is that correct?
24th.
24th.
So
Oh, there we go.
close.
I was so close. I had it memorized. The 24th of April. And we will be talking about a day in the life of a camper at camp.
Beautiful.
Like kind of what that looks like. And some days are similar. Some days are special days with all kinds of other activities, but it will help you kind of imagine what your child will be experiencing. And then also you'd be welcome to maybe have your child watch or listen to that recording afterwards. So if they're a new camper and just curious or maybe a little anxious about the new experience, they will get to hear more about what to expect. And our program director, Hannah Rue Hellwig, will be joining us as well to talk us through that. So it'll be a fun one. We hope you can join us.
Awesome. I just want to mention that they will receive this recording later this week, along with some extra goodies like packing list, family handbook, all that fun stuff. So stay tuned. And we're excited. We can't wait for camp. I'm ready. Woohoo!
Mine doesn't spin. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next month.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.